This is the third episode in our series on how to build a complex rocket from plans. This right here is called the SpaceShipTwo-ish, and in this episode I'm going to show you how to paper the fins with label paper to make them really strong. So stay tuned.
Welcome to Advanced Construction Videos, where we show you how to tackle rocketry, building techniques, and more. On our website, we sell kits, motors, building supplies, and electronics. So come and learn, shop, build, and fly when you visit us at apogeerockets.com.
Okay, I've got all my fins sanded, and I've sanded that smooth. My next step is I'm going to round off, this is the leading edge on the main wings. So I'm just going to go ahead and round that off right now. I'm going to use some 120 grit sandpaper to start. You can see as I'm rolling it over, I'll flip it over and then do the other side. And then I'll switch to some finer grit sandpaper to make it nice and smooth. That looks pretty good. All right, I'll do the other one. Okay, I'm going to clean up a little bit and I'll be right back. Okay, since all these fins are so big, particularly these that go on the pods, I want to reinforce them. And we're going to use paper to do this. Now you can paper your fins, or you could fiberglass if you want. The reason is that these hang down so low, and if the rocket's coming down kind of sideways, they're going to hit on these outer fins first. So I want to protect them, make sure they're extra strong. I'm going to try something I've never done before, but a lot of people have, and that's to use laminate paper, you know, like label stock. So it's self-adhesive, and you'll peel off the back like this. And then we're going to stick our fins on it. And I'm trying to find the way that I don't use, you know, don't waste paper. So we're going to try this. So I want to pause here in the middle of this video because, full disclosure, I messed up. And I wanted to alert you to what I was going to do wasn't the correct way of using label paper to paper the fins. What I discovered and what you've seen is that I was putting all the fins onto the sheet of paper at once. This was a bad idea because it didn't allow me to, well, basically I had a lot of overlap over the edges. So the best way of doing it is to do one side of the fin at a time and trim it as you go. So, for example, I'm going to peel off this piece of label here. Let's see. I got to go a little bit further. I'm just going to kind of fold this down so I don't expose all of the paper at one time. So I'm going to put this, and I'm going to actually line it up with the edge. So that means I have to trim less. And then we want to cut it out at this point because we don't want a lot of overlap, because it's really hard to sand label paper because of that rubber adhesive on it. But you can trim really close to the edge. All right, so that's good. And now I don't have hardly any overlap on those edges. And then you'll do the opposite side. You know, just do it the same way as you did before. And make sure all the edges are down. Okay, so now I have all the edges, or both sides. Make sure you push it down really good. And then we're going to come back and we're going to put CA along the edges. And I don't have my glasses here, so I got to get my glasses so I can glue. Okay, I've done a rough cut of one of the fins, and I've been playing while I wasn't filming. I don't, at this point, I'm not convinced that this is the best method for laminating fins. It works, but I'm going to show you a different method after I complete this one. So once we get these rough cut out, I found that even trimming out the edges is kind of tough. Because, you know, you're trying to cut like this to get a nice clean edge on this side, but when you're doing this side on the opposite side is turning into a gummy mess. So what we need to do is to take some thin, water-thin type superglue. Now it doesn't have water in it. It's thin like water. And you can't thin it out. So you're going to take that in a wick and go along the edges, and then any that drips down, wipe that off. In fact, I actually want to go along the perimeter as well. Okay, so now that all the edges are down, and basically what this does is it seals up the rubber on the adhesive, because that rubber is what's kind of trying to gum everything up. So now I can sand off the edges. And I got some 220 grit sandpaper here. So I'm kind of attacking the edge, so I'm kind of angled a little bit on that edge to try to knock it off. I'm trying to cut through the paper. Do one side. See, it's kind of splitting right there. That means that I'm getting through the paper. And if you do it right, you'll get a nice long strip. That tells you you're cutting through the paper. Then do the other side. And then finally, you're going to do a flat. In fact, you should probably wait to do the flat until you get all the fins together so you can stack sand them all at once to make sure that they're all the same size. Now this edge right here is actually curved, so I can't do it as nice as I want. So you just kind of have to do it in a little bit of sections. And then the corners right here, for that you're going to need a needle file. This one I have one of the triangular needle files. And again, if you don't have a set of these, we do sell them on the Apogee website. But these allow you to get into those corners really tight, here and here. Now I also want to sand the surface, and I'm going to switch to 320 grit sandpaper. And because you can feel it as you're rubbing your hands over it, it's kind of lumpy. You just want to sand that down, make it nice and smooth. All right, so I would call that fin done, and it's much stronger. Now, I went ahead and I discovered that this fin right here is actually another two-part fin, like the big fat ones. And I should have glued them together first before putting the paper on. So this one, I actually went ahead and glued them together. The other thing I discovered was that this one here, I must have been sanding too much. So I'm going to have to resand these together once I get this one laminated with the paper. I'll resand that edge so that both of the fins are exactly the same size. Taking off just that little bit of edge is going to be just fine. The other thing, if you want to, at this point, if you want to round over that front edge and the back edge, you can do that. I'm going to switch to some really rough grit. So this is 100 grit. Now I'm going to be going through the paper. So I'll probably have to, afterwards, put some more of this thin CA on it. The nice thing about the paper is, if you look closely, you can see the wood starting to show through. And by doing this, as long as your wood is nice and you get a parallel strip of wood showing, like here at the front end, it means I haven't put enough pressure on this tip to make sure that it was nice and uniform. That's not too bad. And you can do the front. Actually, I should have waited until I stack sand them. So I won't do this. I won't do that anymore. But that's how you could go about and radius all the leading and the trailing edges on the fins. So this is a leading edge, and that's a trailing edge, or vice versa. So that is how to use label paper. And to be honest, I went through a lot of experiments in building this, and I have a number of experiments here. I even tried epoxy, with just regular paper. Don't use epoxy with regular paper, because what happens is you get this. You think the paper's down. When you walk away, it's sticking. But then you come back and you find that the paper has not stuck all the way around. It's only sticking in the middle. And this is obviously bad. So you don't want to do that. On this one, again, I have paper. But what I did was I sandwiched it between two sheets of glass. And you can see these light areas here. Well, that's where it's actually delaminated underneath. So it's stronger, but it could be a lot stronger if it wasn't delaminated, like a bunch of leopard spots all over. And I did also do paper, regular paper with wood glue, and I will show you that technique as well. This is also going to take a little bit of care. It's papering large fins is a little bit harder than the small ones on a normal size rocket. Normally, when you're doing big fins, you're probably going to switch to fiberglass instead of paper. And then you could do something like this with epoxy, and that's going to work just fine. Although there is a couple of little tricks as well there. I'm not going to show you that, but I can put in the notes here on this video a link to one of our newsletter that talks about fiberglassing fins. So now, I'm not sure where we're going to jump back to, but eventually I'll show you how to paper using wood glue, which does work, and it's really strong too. So I'll see you then.